So it looks like we are good to go. You want to just go and not wait for anyone else? We good there? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to record this, so it'll be here for posterity. But just so you know, the voice that you're hearing and maybe seeing, person you're seeing, my name is Paul Morrell. I am with Autographics. I'm a customer support specialist here. Many of you may have probably talked to me at one point or another, and I just want to thank you for being here, or at least viewing this in the future. And I just am here to help you use your Verso as best as you can. So one of the things that we had talked about at one point was trying to create a way to keep statistics in Verso, and using it. Statistics are so important to your library, and you're always trying to justify your existence. And so because of that, we want to try to keep statistics on anything that you do, so that you can say we're making an impact here in our communities and for our life. So what we wanted to look at today was, how can you get statistics for things that you aren't necessarily going to be getting back, or that you're you want to get statistics, but you may not know, you don't want to put a lot of work into cataloging or anything like that, but you still want to be able to get statistics on things that you're doing. And look at that, I spelled managing wrong. There we go. Fix that there. So, all right. So let's get started here. One of the things that we were talking about are what are non-returnable items. One of the setups that we have, I'm just moving things out of the way here. I talked a lot about this for some places, a few other library systems as well. But seed packets, every spring, we've got a couple places out there that the libraries have all these seed packets, and they give out to people at the front desk. People at the desk come in, patrons come in, they ask for them, and so they want to be able to keep track of stuff like that. Or informational pamphlets. You're not expecting to get these things back, but maybe it's about your local town, it's a walking tour or things like that you're not necessarily going to be getting back, but you want to be able to keep track of how many have you given out, so that whether you need to restock up on them, or whether someone asks you, well, are they going out, are people using them? So that's one type of non-returnable. The other thing too is that maybe these things will be returned to you, but you still want to keep these things as statistics, but not kind of have to put that much work into them. So sometimes there are things that you use a honor system for. I know a lot of libraries that just have racks of uncatalogued paperback books, and they want to be able to just say, hey, patrons came in, borrowed these books, and they don't necessarily care if they return them or not, but they want to be able to say, hey, we checked those out. Same with maybe some magazines. Maybe they'll have some magazines out there, in a shelf or rack or something like that. And they want to be able to just say, hey, someone borrowed these, took them out. If they bring them back, once again, that's fine, but it's okay. It's not going to be, a loss to you if they don't bring these things back. So we do have a setup to be able to do this, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So here's the things that you need to do in Verso, and we'll go through all of this step by step, and I'm just going to kind of give you the brief breakdown right now of what we need to do. So first thing you do is, in Circuit Min, under material types, you need to create a material type for these non-returnable items. You can create separate material types if you want to, because remember, they may, you may need to identify them specifically, because your reports, your statistical reports, will give you breakdowns of material types and the circulation of those items. So you'll be able to get your statistics on those. So if you want to have a one material type that just says non-returnables, that's fine. But maybe you really want to be more specific and have a material type for seed packets. I've seen people do that, or have them, for pamphlets, just another material type for that. So you'll need to want to create that. There is a box when you're creating material types that is called statistic update only. So when you check that box, it identifies it as a statistic update material type only. So what this means is that when you use, an item that has this material type, what happens is it doesn't actually check the item out to the patron. It just gives you the opportunity to enter a statistic. It will actually ask you for how many are there. So then you can get those statistics added to your monthly statistics or your daily statistics. And that way you'll know though that you had, given out that many. So that's the use for the material type. Then the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to create an item record. So you may want to just create an item record for seed packets, an item record for, paperbacks, romance paperbacks, or, non-catalog paperbacks, or whatever you want to call them. And then what a lot of people do is they create that item record and they stick the little barcode on a little 3x5 index card, and it's sitting there at the front desk. And so when someone comes up with a handful of your non-catalog paperbacks, those Harlequins that are sitting out on a shelf somewhere, and they grab a bunch of them, what you do is you'd scan that barcode once, and then a little pop-up comes up and says, how many are there? And you just put in 5. It gives you statistics that say, there were 5 checked out. It won't keep track of, it's not asking and, saying that this patron actually has 5 on their account. You won't ever see them really on their account, so that they actually have to be returned. So there's no physical return of any of these items that actually has to be done. So the other optional thing that some libraries do is sometimes they have people who come back and use these, honor paperbacks or these honor magazines, and they don't ever have a library card. It's still a way to have your patrons be, people in your community to use some parts of your services, even though they don't want to, maybe they don't want to sign up, or maybe they've been bad, but so you can still at least let them participate in the services of your library. So what they do is some libraries will create just one patron barcode called, anonymous or non-returnable or whatever, so that they can just scan that as the patron and then use the item barcode from the 3x5 card and, count the statistics that way. So what I want to do now is we'll jump over into a live session of Verso, and I'll show you. Here's the basic screens though, is, just in CircAdmin, you do the add new type, which is a button in the upper right, and you'll see I highlighted, there's this little box that just says statistic updates only. And so that's what you're going to want to key on. And then of course you'll go in, add your brief record using the material type of that statistic. And then also, if you wanted to, you could go into patron stats and check out and also create a new patron for them. So, all right, so let's jump over into here. And this is our little, we have a little test system here. So first things first, let's go into CircAdmin material types. I'm going to want to create a little something called seed packets here. So I'm going to say add new material, add new type. And I'm going to say this is going to be called seed packets. Don't really need to keep a default cost in there, but we do want to make sure we check this little box. Because you're creating an item record, you can check this if you don't want to make sure that people don't accidentally try to place a hold on it or something like that. So that's always, something you can do as well. But the key thing here is the statistics update only. Okay. So now I'm just going to click on submit. All right. So now you'll see that I have something called seed packets here. So then the next thing I would do is let's go in, create an item record. Now, you can create a regular, if you want to be fancy and create a nice, good, decent item record, you certainly can, fill it all out if you want to. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to just add a brief record. Maybe you have policies against this too. So, please check, with your system to make sure that you want to be able to do this and to keep the record in the system as well, so that you're not going to lose it. So we're going to say add a brief record. The next thing we're going to want to do is make sure we uncheck this so that it doesn't get deleted in case you do accidentally check the barcode in for some reason. And we're just going to say seed packets. And then I'm going to just put my identifier here. Just so I know that, because in case other people are playing, doing multiple ones, it's just good to have that. So, and remember, this is just going to create some brief bibliographic data as well. I suppose the author could be nature, Mother Nature, or something like that. But like I say, this is just the brief info. You don't actually need, because it's not highlighted in red. So right now, we don't need to put an ISBN here. Now, you will need to enter a barcode. And so, like I say, it's probably good to just have a barcode you can scan. So grab a barcode, from one of your packs. And if you can, just put it in here. I'm just going to put seed 1. Location, you can add if you want to make a separate location, you certainly can. As of right now, I'm just going to say this is at, I'm losing track here. And I'm not going to have it actually at the reserve shelf, but usually you could just say it's somewhere. Maybe you do need to identify where it is, but make sure you get the material types, like I say, of seed packets, and then just say seed packets. And then go ahead and click on submit. So if I left it there, what you could do now then is, if I had a patron come in and you were all ready to hand out seed packets, then you could bring up their user. Like I say, it's just a way to keep track. You could put in the barcode. So say you had the barcode handy right there. You just take it off the computer, scan it, and it's going to check out just like something else. And now it's going to ask you how many pieces. That's going to be how many you're going to count, because that's how many will be added to your statistics. So it's going to just say, so maybe you gave out 5 packs of seeds. So you would just say 5. So all that is done, you'll see that it's not something that was ever checked out to the patron. It's just something that we're keeping for statistics. So if you wanted to do it that way, that's the simplest way. But like I say, you also could end up creating a new patron. And once you've created them as just a basic, and maybe you do this for some people, for some libraries as well. Some libraries may do this. You'd come in. And then maybe you'd also want to just make sure that this person has a certain either group or a category, little things like that you want to make sure that no one abuses this one as well. But because remember, if you do this, those statistics will be added to those patron groups or patron categories. So that's the key thing to remember as well, that you are going to get these statistics in a variety of different spots. But so this is for, just for anonymous. That's my other field I'm missing. Oh, that's why. And this is going to ask me. Okay.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, awesome. So I just want to verify while you're kind of doing this, that these stats will be part of our total circulation statistics for the month, correct? And I'd need to do stats by material type to identify just seed stats?
Yes, you would.
Okay.
So they would
Perfect.
be, yeah. So, and then, like I say, if you used an anonymous user, like I say, sometimes you may have users that you don't even know who the person is. Or you may not have them in the system. They're just someone who comes in and hangs out at the library. And they just don't want to get a card. Sometimes everybody has someone like that. You can still, keep track of those things like this. And then those would fall under whatever patron category, patron group as well, besides just the material types for the others. So, yeah. So you would see, not that you do have to remember that when you do statistics for the day, our overnight processes have to run. But yes, you would come in and you could just come in here under item material type. And then when you look here, you could either say by day or by month. And that would be part of, just these daily statistics that you would see.
Perfect. That's great. So for the purposes of our recording, I'm going to say to all of our libraries that if you choose to go with an anonymous patron, you need to make sure that they are a resident or an institution so that you're not gathering any false county circulation. Sure,
exactly. That's even that, and when I made mention about the brief records as well, if you guys don't like them creating brief records, then please have them contact you guys at the headquarters, and you guys can create a record for them as well. So
perfect. Okay, can we see that get checked out to that patron?
So if you just entered, if you had anonymous, it would work just like my other user. If I had, just seed 1 or the barcode, it would once again just show you the group checkout. You just put in how many pieces. Like I say, if this was your honor paperbacks, you would just go in and say they took 4 paperbacks and you submit it. And so now like I say, it's not going to show any items out. You're never going to have to go in and make sure you return these things, but you do want to keep the statistics on them. So, and,
Perfect.
and like I say, these are the kind of things you could have, just a patron barcode sitting there, with a barcode on it, and the item barcode sitting there, and just at the desk when someone comes up to do it, you can just scan. Or sometimes if you see someone rummaging in the foyer, and where your books are, if you see them over there and you see them grabbing a bunch, you could just be at your desk and do the anonymous, do the uncatalogued paperbacks, and just go from there. So that would be the thing. I'd probably suggest that, like I say, keep it specific to your library, because you don't want to confuse other people. So like I say, if you created the seed packets item record, make sure you just identify your library in case someone accidentally says, oh, I forgot what my barcode is, and they want to look it up. That way they can identify it, your own specific barcode. So really it's that simple. Like I say, when you do your statistics the next day, you will see those material types listed under the item material types. Depending upon if you wanted to create locations, you may want to just say, I'll have specific material types, but maybe I do want to be able to look at them right away in my item location details. So you could have a location to stick these items that just say non-returnables. And then if you want to just say, well, by this material type, I'll know the specifics. But if maybe I just want to once a month know also how many all non-returnables do I want to, have I checked out, then you can just look at that really quickly. So in that case, maybe you would want to, you could create an item location as well, just to house these. Now, sometimes people may just say, to identify them, either at the circulation desk or something like that. That's up to you. So be as creative as you want with them. So let's see.
I see this being really helpful for our new program for those state park passes. I know you talked about it briefly
Yes.
the other day, but I think this is going to be a really good solution for that. And like you had mentioned, we might have a couple libraries with seed libraries, but we do have a lot that have paperback exchanges. And it would be nice for them to be able to gather those statistics.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
This is a great solution for that.
Yeah, that way they can still keep their statistics, so they can say, hey, we did send out this many books, people checked out or took away this many books or items, without having to go, because I know I used to watch catalogers who would go through the process of doing those Harlequin romance books that they maybe lasted, 3 or 4 months in your library, and then they just got so beat up that you had to just get rid of them. And sometimes it's not worth the whole work of trying to do that. So this is a great way to be able to just do that as well. So the one thing, let's see here now, if you go in, there is a way. Check. So you will be able to see, and I don't know if you use this very often, but I know that statistics show up the next day. It's something that gets compiled overnight. But here's a little something too. If you do ever need to backtrack and check on some statistics or transactions for the day, this is always a really quick way you could go in and take a quick peek at, what's been checked out or checked in that day. So, in this case, I just did a quick look, and so I'll see, yes, they did get checked out. It doesn't tell me how many. It doesn't give me the number here. Those statistics will get applied tomorrow, but this is just a quick way I would go in and be able to do it. So really, that's the major parts of all of this. I don't know if anyone has any questions while we're here, and I can go through and talk a little bit more about any part of this that they may have questions. It's a very simple, easy process to go through. So
It is. This is a really nice, easy way to do things that we're not going to be cataloging. And I want to say that we could also use it because we can split them up by material type. If a library were to say want to give away make and take crafts, but keep track of it this way, we would be able to split this out and pull it out of your circulation. So it doesn't count as a circ because a craft kit wouldn't, but you'd be able to keep track of it this way because it's so easily identifiable.
yes.
So it gives us some new opportunities for tracking things in your library without compromising circulation statistics. So that's a really nice way to think about it. If any libraries have questions or want to set this up but want help, I'm happy to work with them. I do all of the annual report stats at the end of the year. So if I can be involved in up, then I'll know exactly what I'm looking for at the end of the year. So have them reach out to me.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the, actually, then you just reminded me, things like that, summer reading, have you given, how many summer reading kits have you given out? Maybe you need to keep track of that. You can certainly do that. Every packet, you spend so much time making all these packets for your kids for summer reading. When you hand one out to a kid, you can just scan it and, keep track of them that way. Then you can see the statistics to say, here's how many participants, or at least how many kits I gave out. Like I say, it may also be things that you want to track in case, like I mentioned toward the beginning, they did have little pamphlets on the walking tours of their town. And so they were keeping track of how many they gave, number one, to see, how many they may need to ask for again, and how many have they given out, so that they can say to the Chamber of Commerce, hey, we've been giving out a lot of these. People have been, walking around doing a walking tour too. So, things like that can help you to, work with your other partners in the community as well. So, okay. Well, thank you. Please, if you have any questions, you can contact myself on this. If you have some more specifics, especially for your system, you can certainly go to Jennifer, and she'll be able to help you, figure, what you can do, together to do some of this. So, all right. Well,
wonderful. Thank you very
great.
much, Paul. I really appreciate it.